G'day guys and gal, whether or not you play them, we can all agree that the Necrons are dope as hell. My Necron videos always do well, and the Infinite and the Divine is arguably the best Warhammer 40k book out there. They're just an all-round joy, constantly pulling the most whack sci-fi stuff out of their ass, and only getting stopped from easy galactic domination because they value measuring dicks with each other more than actually teaming up against the enemy. But we already know Trazyn and the Silent King and Imhotep and so on. I've talked about them in length, but what about those Necrons that have fantastic rich lore but barely anyone knows about? The Necrons that never make it to the grim dank subreddit or are never discussed in lore forums, but are still as cool as everyone's favorite kleptomaniac Pokemon trainer, so why not check them out? Before we get started, I have two very important things to talk about. Firstly, we're doing a huge space robot Egyptian launch today, as we're releasing not one, not two, but three new models. Firstly, we have the new Wandering Overlord, a robot who travels the galaxy, always searching, always helping his people. He casts an imposing figure and can come with or without his back-mounted scarab, which is the device he uses to open portals and step on through them. Then we have the combo pack of the Nemesis Overlord and his big Lich Guardian. The Nemesis Overlord is a genius commander, overseeing many victories for his robotic legion, and then to keep him safe, he always has his big Lich Guardian by his side, ready to reap the souls of any would-be assassin. To top it off, I'm also releasing a combo value bundle that features Setron the Undying, the Collector of Infinity, the Wandering Overlord, and Nemesis Overlord and his big Lich Guardian, all in one purchase with a large discount over buying them separately. This will be the last undead Egyptian robots I release for a while, unless a lot of people buy these guys, in which case we'll revisit it sooner. The second thing is that we have sold 75% of the carry cases, a compact, high quality and innovative way to safely move your minis around. We even did a smash test with actual painted minis inside in a video I released earlier this week if you wanted to see just how good it is. I expect it to sell out over the weekend if not early next week, so get it while you can. Each purchase also comes with a free miniature. Today we'll go over 5 of the most obscure but amazing Necron characters to show that just because you aren't a fan favorite doesn't mean you can't be dope as hell. Let's get into it. Let's kick it off with one of the most aesthetically coloured Necrons, Anrakia the Traveller. That blue glow and metal is doing stuff for me. If I ever get Necrons, I'm definitely painting them in blue. For lack of a better word, Anrakia is a crusader. When he awoke, he felt this irresistible urge to unite the Necron dynasties and return them to glory. To this end, he gave up the mantle of lordship over his own tomb world, took most of his army, and then went out into the stars, bunny hopping between different Necron tomb worlds. For the undisturbed ones, he merely wakes them up. However, for worlds that are occupied or even worse, the Necron tombs are already destroyed, he will wage vicious war against the lesser races to either save or avenge the Necrons on that world. If he is that world's savior, either through waking them up or exterminating the occupying force, he will then demand a tithe of warriors and weapons so that he may continue his crusade. If the world refuses, then he will take it by force. So if you ever want to make a lore reason for a Necron v Necron skirmish on tabletop, then just bring Anrakia as one of your models. This is called Anrakia to be seen in two different lights, either as a paragon of nobility, a hero who crusades to save and unite the Necron Empire, or a fucking arsehole that thinks he is entitled to plunder a tomb world's resources and warriors merely because he killed some Tau explorers and woke up the world from a perfectly good nap. I wouldn't be surprised if some Necron overlords had woken up and then just slapped the snooze button, considering how fucked the galaxy is right now. It's wild that Anrakia is so underrated since he once led a war against an Eldar maiden world that also had a tomb within it. Strange combo. Taking on Eldar Exodites and a craft world. The coolest part is that he had Trazyn the Infinite and Orokin the Diviner both acting as his lieutenants for the war, in which they eventually won. So this dude bossed around Necrons that are way more popular in the lore. Next, I want to talk about Nemesis Zandrek, and by extension, his bodyguard Oberon. Zandrek is an interesting one. He is arguably the greatest commander in the Sortek dynasty, behind Imhotep of course. Even when he was a flesh and blood Necron tier, his name was renowned and feared. However, he also suffered a lot of brain damage during the Great Sleep, and has awoken in a state of constant psychosis and hallucination. He believes he is still a flesh and blood Necron tier and is still fighting other Necron tier in a civil war. It doesn't matter who he fights, Eldar, Orcs, Space Marines, Tyranids, he hallucinates them as other enemy Necron tier, and amazingly, still whoops their asses. I can't imagine how cooked that would be though. One battle, we are fighting the big green muscly illiterate Necron tier today. Then the next battle, it's the swarmy Necron tier that like to eat everything. A lot of Zandrek's royal court are always worried about his mental health and have even thought about replacing him, but he is such a successful commander that very few dare try, especially due to the fact that he has the massive Varguard Oberon protecting him. Oberon used to try and make Zandrek lucid and understand reality, reality, but he's since given up and allows his master to live in Fantasyland. Oberon loves Zandrek and goes to great lengths to protect him, saving his life on dozens of occasions. Oberon is also a demon on the battlefield, having beaten many named heroes in the lore. Dude can also cut open holes in reality and step on through, reappearing somewhere else on the battlefield. The kicker is that he can take a few Necrons with him, so it's a pretty insane way to deep strike your enemy. Both Zandrek and Oberon are extremely honorable, refusing to use assassins in battle and preferring to take the enemy commanders alive, so that they may negotiate terms of honorable surrender, most likely because he thinks he is dealing with fellow Necron tier. The good news is that there are female Necron characters. The bad news is that they are often bloodthirsty psychopaths. None better encapsulate this than Zunbakia, the Mother of Oblivion. Fuck me, what a name. She is the leader of the Maynarek dynasty, who have an extremely cool color scheme, that being red with dark obsidian steel. Would 100% paint my Necrons like this as well. The Maynark dynasty is known for being extremely ruthless and vicious. No honor, just extermination. The Silent King used them in the War in Heaven, kind of like how the Emperor used the World Eaters during the Great Crusade. Just direct them towards targets that require extermination. It was this dynasty that killed the Catan Lilangua, the Flayer. Fuck me dude, Necron names are really hard. Which would unleash the Flayer virus upon the Necrons, most notably the Maynark dynasty. Despite their violent ways, the Silent King allowed them to enter into the Great Sleep and even took extra steps to make sure they would survive it intact. Most likely as he knew he would need a weapon as vicious as them when the Necrons would awake. When the dynasty awoke, many of them instantly became flayers, and it seemed like the rest would follow suit, until Zunbaker was like, listen up retards, let's go genocide, beginning a warpath of total annihilation of all lesser races. Zunbaker keeps her dynasty as an ordered army, stopping them from descending into madness, but if anything that just makes them more deadly as they continue to sweep across the galaxy, scouring life wherever they find it. Good work Silent King, really working towards that preserve sentient life mission you got going on there. If you've read the Twice Dead King series, this next one will be familiar as it speaks of the king himself, Olitix. That's definitely not how you say it, but that's how it's spelled. Boy oh boy, Olitix has had a rough fucking go. I'm not just gonna retell the entire Twice Dead King book series, but this dude cannot catch a break. It's probably the first time in the lore that the Necrons are on the constant back foot, always losing, always encountering issues, and always fleeing for their lives. Olitix was the second son of a Necron lord, so was always living in the shadow of his older brother, which didn't change much when he ascended to become a Necron. Olitix would try and take the throne from his father, but failed and was exiled. After a lot of shenanigans involving a lot of convoluted plots and a lot of flayed ones, Olitix is able to take command of his dynasty, just as a massive imperial fist is arriving and completely fucks up his forces. He then ran for his life and was chased down by the fleet, encountering even more issues along the way. I use the term issues here, but holy shit, it was really bad. If you ever want to feel bad for a Necron, just read about Olitix. Now I don't really want to spoil what happens to Olitix, but it's pretty fucking grim, but also in a kind of bittersweet way. He does end up as a king of a Necron dynasty, it's just not the one he wanted, nor was the one he was born into. Something, the Flayer virus is horrific. And finally, we have a reasonably well-known character that not many people seem to talk about, Illuminor Caesarez, who pretty recently got an extremely dope miniature. Caesarez is a fucking asshole. There's no two ways around it. Ceres was the one who, at the instructions and guidance from the Catan, built the biotransference machines that would turn the Necron tier into the Necrons, an act that most Necrons regret. Ceres is the mad genius of the Necrons, the Call and Fabius of his people. He loves capturing sentient life and experimenting on it, the elder above all else due to the more interesting biology. These experiments are horrific and are often extremely painful for the victim, who will almost always end up dying. He uses these victims to improve himself. A sentient spider race gave him the knowledge to improve his own optics, the ambuls showed him how to improve his own armor, and so on. As you can see, he's experimented on himself a lot. He definitely did not come out of biotransference looking like a mechanical hentai monster. If you see Necron characters who are larger with more arms and shit, more likely than not, it was Ceres who upgraded them. We actually do see a fair bit of Ceres in recent lore, with him being the main antagonist of the Pariah Nexus animated series, where he performs fucked up experiments on the Kriegsmen and basically turns them into zombies who are aware of their own situation. He presents as this hyper-analytical and objective scientist, which is merely a facade to cover up his true sadistic nature. In the overarching lore, the Silent King knew he needed to have the genius Ceres on his side for his Pariah Nexus project, so he told Ceres that the thing he was constantly searching for but could never find in all his years of experiments would be found if they managed to reverse biotransference. Hence, Ceres acts as one of the Silent King's closest lieutenants and advisors. Still the ever-sadistic mad genius. Honestly, I don't know who is worse, Fabius or Ceres, would make for an interesting comparison. Out of the characters I spoke of today, only Ceres is an up-to-date model. Both Anrakir and Zandrek and Oberon all have models that are over 12 years old, with the Mother of Oblivion not having any, neither does the Twice Dead King. So we'll either have to wait for those to be released or updated, or pick them up from somewhere else. If you enjoyed the video and you want to support the channel, then pick up the Wandering Overlord, the Nemesis Overlord and his Lich body card, and then why not also grab a carry case, which as I've said comes with a free model. Hit the subscribe button, hit the real subscribe button for more obscure lore. Join the Discord for more memes and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.